Hey guys, Jungle Explorer here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to repair the bearings on a front-end loader Samsung washing machine. So I bought this washing machine back in 2011 after my top loader went out, and this was the first major front-end loader washer that I've owned, and it's been a good washing machine. Washed, millions of pounds of clothes, and it's 9 years old. And it's done a really good job, and there's really nothing wrong with it other than that the bearings are going out. The other day, my wife was washing a load of clothes, and it started making noise. She came to me, she's like, the wash machine's making a funny noise. I went into the laundry room and recorded this little video right here. Okay, so if that's the sound your front-end loader washing machine is making, then your bearings are going out. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, this is going to be a long video because although it's not really hard to change out the bearings on these things, you do practically have to take them completely apart to get to the bearings. Okay, so even though this is a Samsung washing machine, let me just say that almost all washing machines, dryers, it doesn't matter what the brand is or how it looks on the outside. Internally, they all work about the same way. They do have different parts and everything, but they essentially work off the same basic design. So even though this is for a Samsung washing machine front-end loader, much of the video will be useful for many other models, makes and models of front-end loaders. Okay, guys? So if you're struggling there, you can watch here and learn some pointers, even if it's a different make or a different model. But there are things that are unique, such as the bearing kit.
Now each model is going to have very specific bearings and a seal that you're going to need to buy in order to complete this repair. Finding the right one can be a bit of a task. I bought my bearing kit from an eBay seller, and he was great, and I provided him my exact model, and he gave me the perfect kit that I needed to do this repair. I will post a link in the description of the video to this seller in case you want to deal with him. Regardless of where you choose to buy your bearing kit from, you will need the exact model of your washer. You can find this information on the top of the door frame right here. Once you get your bearing kit in hand, it'll be time to start taking your washer apart. So let's get started. First, you will need to remove the back panel by removing these two screws. Now remove the panel by lifting up and then pulling out from the bottom. Now remove the two screws from the back of the top of the washer. Remove the top of the washer by sliding it backwards. Now remove these two screws at the front of the washer. Next, remove the soap dispenser drawer. Next, remove the two soap dispenser screws and then slide the dispenser backwards. Now remove the control panel by pressing in with one hand while prying the back edge up. Once the back edge is free, lift up to remove the panel. Next, disconnect the 3 connection wires to the control panel. Now remove the 4 screws along the top of the front of the washer. Now we're going to need to lay the washing machine on its back and remove the 2 screws from the bottom front edge of the washer. And then we're going to need to stand it back up again. Now use a flat blade screwdriver to pry off the door boot retaining wire to free the door boot from the front of the washer. Now remove these 3 screws to free the door safety latch system from the front of the washer. Now open the lower drain cover and detach this hose. Now, using a flat blade screwdriver, pry up on this front edge of the washing machine to free it from the rest of the frame. Using a pair of needle nose pliers, compress this hose clamp and work it up off of the nipple. Now pull on the hose and free it from the nipple. Now we're going to remove the boot seal sensor by pushing up on it from the bottom side and pulling from the top until it is free. Now lift up to fully remove the door. Now we're going to remove this top panel to get it out of the way so we can remove the front counterbalance weights. Now we can just lift this up and move it back out of the way. Now we're going to remove the counterbalance weights from the front of the tub. Hold on to the counterbalance weight firmly when removing the last bolt. Now, using the same process, remove the lower counterbalance weight. Now use a pair of pliers to depress the compression clamp on this hose. Now pull and twist to free it from the boot seal. Now remove this hose from the top rear of the tub. Now remove this hose, which is found on the top side underneath the soap dispenser. Remove this hose on the left side of the tub. Remove this little hose from the top right-hand side of the washer. Now, using a pair of pliers, take this retainer clip out and disconnect this power wire. Disconnect this wire at the top rear of the washer. Now remove the drain hoses from the bottom of the tub. Now remove these two plugs from the rear of the tub. Now remove the 4 bolts from the hydraulic stabilizer legs on the bottom of the tub. Now remove the tub spring retainer clips located on both sides at the top of the washer. Using a hoist or an assistant to lift the tub, now disconnect the springs on either side of the washer. Now we can remove the tub by gently rolling it forward onto the floor. Now we can easily remove the tub seal retaining wire so that we can get the seal boot off. Now remove all the screws around the middle of the tub. Once all the screws are removed, you can take the top half of the tub off. Now it's time to remove the main motor bolt. This bolt is very difficult to remove, so if you have an impact wrench, you may use that, or a breaker bar and use a hammer to break it loose. It takes a little bit of force to get this one out. Once you've got the bolt out, then you can remove the motor housing. Fully insert the main bolt back into the axle and then lift the tub and use a hammer to tap on the bolt to free the axle from the bearings. Now you can remove the bottom half of the tub. At last we have reached the bearings, and we can see here that the seal has failed, allowing water to penetrate into the bearings, which caused the failure. So now we're just going to simply lift up here and pop the seal out. And now we can see the rust and water on the bearing here, and that is why the bearing failed. Now we need to set the tub on top of something like a 5-gallon bucket to provide a space for the bearing to fall into. Now we need to hammer the outer bearing out into the bucket by hitting it on all sides with something like a metal punch, a piece of rebar, or a big nail like what I'm using right here. Now this takes some patience and time. You're going to have to keep banging around the edge of the bearing to get it out. Now that we got the outer bearing out, we're going to need to turn the tub over and knock the inner bearing out using the same method. Now that we've got the bearings out, let's clean everything up nice and clean before we put our brand new bearings in. Now that we've got everything clean, let's go ahead and put our bearings in. Now there's an inner and outer bearing, and they're not interchangeable. The outer bearing is smaller than the inner bearing, so first we're going to insert the outer bearing. Now it's very important that you do not damage the new bearing when inserting it. This ring around the outside is called a race, and we're only going to tap on the outer race, never on the inner race, while inserting the new bearing. Tap the new bearing in until it is fully seated. Now flip the barrel over and use the same method to insert the inner bearing. Now it's time to put the water seal in. Be sure to apply some 100% silicone to the outside of the seal before inserting it into the tub. Now it's a simple matter of reassembling the washing machine in the exact opposite manner of how we took it apart. So we'll just take the tub and slide it over the axle, and it should go right on. There it is, all nice and spins, and now we'll just put everything back together again. Well, there it is, working just beautifully. Just smooth as glass. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and comment. Remember, all the tools and parts used in this video will be in the description of the video, so check down there. Until next time, this is the Jungle Explorer signing out.